If you're looking for a proven strategy to get 10 to 15 appointments into your calendar every single week without having to spend endless hours prospecting and getting frustrated and getting no results, well, you've come to the right video. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how, time after time after time, I'm able to get my LinkedIn connection requests accepted 65 to 80% of the time. And if you stay to the end of the video, I'm going to show you how to get access to my outbound marketing playbook, which will show you step by step exactly everything that you need to do to put your B2B sales prospecting on full autopilot. So B2B prospecting of any kind is a huge challenge. Challenge number one is, who am I going to send my messages to? Challenge number two is, what am I going to say? And then challenge number three, which is the byproduct of challenge number one, and challenge number two is, how on earth am I going to get any results? Well, the good news is when you overcome those challenges successfully, some really awesome things happen. Thing number one is your calendar is full of qualified appointments. Instead of spending hours every week prospecting, which nobody that I know enjoys doing, you can instead spend hours per week pitching your whatever it is that you sell to qualified buyers who've raised their hand, who said, yes, I want to come and hear what it is that you have for sale. The next really awesome thing that happens when you get that many opportunities to pitch your stuff is you get to be more choosy about the clients that you're going to work with. And then when you get to be more choosy about the clients you're going to work with, running your business gets a whole lot more fun, and your revenue goes up and your margins increase as well, because you're not out there begging and borrowing and stealing, trying to work with any client that will come your way. So the key to success in growing your business is to have as many qualified appointments in your calendar as you can. So now, how exactly do you do that? Let's dive in and show you exactly the process. Now, the overview of the process is, step number one, you need to make sure that you have a well-optimized LinkedIn profile. And to show you that, we're going to dive into the outbound marketing playbook, and you'll see that there are 5 sections of the playbook: building the engine, building your list of targets, creating your messaging, and then some system monitoring and maintenance, and how to manage communications with prospects. So the first thing we're going to do is dive into the process for optimizing your LinkedIn profile. So you'll see here there are roughly 20 steps in this process, and when you work your way through and you click on each one of these steps, it gives you exactly the step-by-step instructions that you need to do, and when you're done, you can put a tick in the tick box and you can move on. So what does the end result look like? Well, let me use my LinkedIn profile as an example. So as you can see here, I've got a quote-unquote professional image. So why am I standing there in a Christmas suit? Because it's memorable. In my case, I have the same picture of me in a Christmas suit across all of my social channels. So regardless of how I'm getting in touch with a prospect, that image of the dude in the Christmas suit, they're seeing it over and over and over and over, and they just come to remember, like, I'm the guy in the Christmas suit, because not very many people are wearing Christmas suits. Above my image, I've got my cover image, and that's where you're going to put that. People are going to look at that right away, and they're going to decide, am I going to read more or am I going to leave? So make sure that you put something captivating there. And then the next thing is your headline right here. You'll want to put one sentence, like in my case, process automation expert. I help companies to make training and delegation easy using a combination of software and custom playbooks. Tells people exactly what I do. There's absolutely no confusion. And if they're interested in that, if that captures their interest, that's when the real magic begins, because more than likely they're going to scroll down and they're going to read my About section. This is the workhorse of your LinkedIn profile. This is where it is a-okay to do the hard sale, so to speak, because you are trying to get people who've come this far to go ahead and book an appointment with you, have benefits, have a link to your calendar, have all sorts of things. Now, I'm not going to read you mine. You can look me up on LinkedIn and you can look at it to see what best practices look like. And I absolutely encourage you to use what I have done as a template to follow when writing your own profile. All right, so the next thing that you want to do, and this is, I call it kind of an optional step. It works a lot better if you do it, but it's this creating content on a regular basis. And as you can see here, you scroll through mine, 3 hours ago, there was this post, 7 hours ago was this post, 18 hours ago was this post, 21 hours ago was this post. So how to do that without working yourself to death is the topic for a whole nother video. It's part of our content engine. So I don't want to get into the weeds on that right now, other than to say it's a very good idea to be posting content regularly on your profile, because when people come to your profile, they're probably going to check you out, and this is part of that check you out process. Now, with that said, if you're doing outreach and you've got a well-optimized profile and a great about section, you're still going to have some success if you're not posting content on a regular basis. So don't think that it's a deal breaker, but just know that things will work better if you go ahead and you have that content. All right, so now the next thing that we want to do is we want to find the right people, and we want to have high levels of relevancy when we're looking for those people. So why is relevancy so important to have? Well, think about this. You probably get LinkedIn messages all the time that say some version of, hey, would love to connect with you, blah, 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 nothing particularly relevant. And in this day and age, most people, when they see that, they think, oh, great, all you want to do is sell me something. So they say denied. And that's why your connection rates on those types of campaigns is generally going to be 20% or less, in some cases much less. So how do you get 60 to 80% of cold prospects to accept your connection request? You need to have high levels of relevancy. So how do you accomplish that? Well, you can go onto LinkedIn and you can look for a popular post, a popular event, or a popular group, and you can also do this on Facebook. And then you can literally use software like Expandy, and I'll place a link to that in the comments, to scrape the people off of whatever. Let's use the event as an example. Everyone who's attended the event, you can then add those people to a campaign. And then in that campaign, in your connection request, you can say something to the effect of, hey, I see that we're both interested in SEO, if it was an SEO event, so we should connect and trade some ideas or what have you. So let me give you an example of this in action. So we go back over to LinkedIn. Let's just use that SEO one as an example. So we're going to type in SEO into the search box, and then we are going to click on the events link, and you're going to see that the very first one has 2,034 attendees, which is absolutely perfect. So you could use Expandy to scrape these 2,034 people and put them in a campaign. Now, of course, you can't send messages, connection requests to all 2,034 at once. LinkedIn throttles that, and you can only go so fast, but you could absolutely, if your account, most commonly, it used to be that you could have 50 to 100 connection requests a day, although more recently, many people's accounts have been throttled down to 100 connection requests per week, but still, that's 100 highly relevant connection requests that you can fully automate. And you would say something to the effect of, hey, I noticed that you're also registered to attend the same event as me. Clearly, we're both interested in SEO. Would love to connect with you sometime and compare notes on what's working with us. Now ask yourself, what do you think is going to be more effective? Some random message that has no relevancy at all, or some message that has high levels of relevancy like the one I just explained? Obviously, it is the second one, and that's why, taking that approach, I'm consistently able to get connection acceptance rates of 65 to 80% on LinkedIn, which makes my life a whole lot easier. Now, so what do you do? And you can also do this, by the way, on LinkedIn posts. You could find a post that had a lot of comments and a lot of likes. You can use the Expandy software to scrape it and do exactly the same thing as I just did with the event. Or you can also do this with Facebook groups. So if you can find Facebook groups, and in the playbook, we have procedures that explain how to do all of this. So let me quickly go back over and share my screen. So if we go back to the playbook, we open folder number 2, build your list of targets. You will see that you could easily delegate this work to your virtual assistant, because we have adding new contacts to Expandy, finding LinkedIn posts to scrape, finding Facebook posts to scrape, building leads by scraping a LinkedIn event. You don't even have to do this stuff yourself. You could literally have a virtual assistant who you're employing for $4 or $5 an hour, simply following these procedures and doing this work for you, so that you don't have to do any of the work. Now, once your connection request is accepted, what next? 2 approaches. If you're just getting started, you're not exactly sure what's going to work for you post connection request. Once they accept, I would encourage that you do it manually. LinkedIn's going to give you notifications. You can see that they've accepted your connection request, and then you can go and look at their profile. You can look at their social profiles, and you can look at something relevant to say. Something that works very, very well is if you have a piece of content. Let's stick with the SEO theme for a minute. So you've got a great article that you've written about SEO. You could say to somebody, hey, thanks so much for connecting with me. Recently wrote this article on SEO. Given that you were attending the SEO event, I figured it would be something that would be really interesting to you. Would love to answer any questions that you have. That might be the first one. Then a couple of days later, you might have a manual touch. Maybe you're going to send some other piece of content or some other message, or maybe you're going to send them a link to your calendar. The cadence of your replies is entirely up to you. I wouldn't necessarily automate that portion of it until you've done it manually long enough to figure out what is very, very effective at getting people to go from yes, I accepted your LinkedIn connection request to yes, I have now booked an appointment in your calendar. So why should you pay so much attention to LinkedIn? Well, first of all, 7 out of 10 professionals describe LinkedIn as a trustworthy source of professional content. 7 out of 10, that's a pretty high number. In other words, it's pretty much the #1 platform for B2B professionals. 79% of marketers see it as a very good source of leads, and 80% of their social media leads come from LinkedIn, say many B2B marketers. All right, so let's review the process. Step number 1, make sure you have a well-optimized LinkedIn profile. If you need help, make sure you look at mine. Step number 2, make sure that you're posting content regularly on LinkedIn. Again, this is an optional step, but I strongly encourage that you do it. Step number 3, follow the procedures in the outbound marketing playbook to make sure that you find groups, events, or posts that will allow you to scrape and put those people into your campaigns. Step number 4 is to be able to send them highly relevant connection requests. And step number 5 is to follow up either manually or automatically, depending upon where you're at in dialing in your messaging. So if you've enjoyed this video and you would like to see other videos, first off, I would love it if you would take a moment and smash the heck out of that like button. That's like the tip jar, and it tells YouTube that the content was worthwhile watching, and it will help the YouTube algorithm to show this content to other people. If you'd like to see future videos from me, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you have questions, please leave those down in the comments below. I read every one of them personally, and I will do my very best to get you an answer. Links to anything that I have mentioned in this video will be down in the description, so if you'd like to get the outbound marketing playbook, there will be a link there for you to do that. Thank you very much for watching. I look forward to seeing you again in another video soon. Take care. Bye-bye.